Hey, hey, listen up. This is the alpha male Monty Brown, and you are listening to The Blaze at 1260 a.m. Keep it locked here or get period.
You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Wrestling Epicenter here on the Blaze 1260 AM. It's your boy, Chuck D, joining me here momentarily, but Mr. James Walsh, he's out, I don't know, doing something or other. We got so much to talk about this week. We got to talk about, this whole news and notes that's been going on this week. A lot's gone down. Joey Styles is apparently now on the announce team. Tori Wilson's kind of gone, but not gone from the company. Christian apparently quit. We also got Taboo Tuesday to run down. We got a great interview with Monty Brown. We're going to air about 15 minutes of that this evening. We also got to talk about TNA Impact, Raw, a whole lot of stuff. It's going to be a good show. I believe we got Francine with us here momentarily on the line. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get everything set up. Francine, are you with us?
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was really good. I worked for SCW, which is Southern Championship Wrestling down in Orlando, Florida. It's actually Altamont Springs, right outside of Orlando.
All right.
And I managed Larry Zbyszko and had a really good time. And I met Shark Boy.
Oh, we just interviewed him
We
last
interviewed
week.
last week. Yeah. I got to meet him, and we actually had a poker tournament, and I finished second.
Second? You won last time, so.
Who won?
Well, you know what it was? If you involve alcohol, which I'm not a big drinker, but that night I did indulge in some cocktails, and I think it altered my performance. So Mr. Zbyszko did beat me. Which I will have a rematch eventually and win my money back. But I finished second, so, it wasn't that bad. There was 9 of us.
Who else was playing in that tournament?
It was Shark Boy, myself, Larry, and then a bunch of other guys. So we not too many people from the wrestling business, but it was fun. But I'm telling you, don't drink and play cards. It doesn't work.
I've heard that to be a problem. Unless you're playing cards to get drunk, I think it's okay, right?
I didn't do we had a nice dinner because the guy Matt that had me down there, he owns a restaurant, so he had us all into the restaurant. And we had a really good dinner, and then we had a couple cocktails, and the next thing you know, I got pocket queens, and I'm like, yeah, all in, blah, blah. And, of course, the kid next to me had kings, and he beat me.
Wow.
And, I got – this was early in the match, so I got eliminated. But luckily for me, the one gentleman that was there, he had to go, so he gave me his chips. So I finished with his chips, and I finished second. So that's how I finagled my way back into the tournament. But
awesome. Well, it sounds like you had a good weekend then.
I did have fun. The show was fun. We had the cat fight with SoCal Val, who is a doll. She's such a pleasure to work with, and it was just a lot of fun. The whole weekend was great. So I had a good time.
Excellent, Francine. We got to ask you about this whole Joey Styles thing. He's obviously worked with you for many years. He's now apparently going to be the new color guy over there in WWE.
I talked to him today through email. And, I wished him all the luck in the world and congratulations. And, his response was he's taking it day by day and, we're going to see how it goes. So he's a very, very talented man, and I think he'll do well there.
Apparently he's on like some 3-week trial run, I think is what I've read somewhere. I don't know if that's the case or not.
I didn't go into specifics because it's really none of my business what his deal is. I just think he's talented. He deserves it. You never say never in the wrestling business. I've said it a million times. And Joey was pretty adamant on, not going to WWE or not working there or whatever, but people can change their minds. So he's just too talented not to be working anywhere, and I'm very happy for him.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens when he is doing color commentary for the WWE. He named a lot of the ECW moves and everything, so maybe people like Carlito, who has a finisher and no name for it now, and all these things, maybe he can help rectify those situations by sitting down with some of the guys and saying, hey, I need to know what to call this.
Or maybe he'll just make it up as he goes along.
which would be great, because half the stuff he said off the cuff was hysterical. So.
Right.
Do you really think he'll have it?
Great,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say he's great at what he does. So, unless they're in his ear a lot, which could be a possibility, I'm not really sure if he'll be able to call it the way he did for us. But either way, the guy's going to be making money and he's going to be back on television. So it's pretty good. I'm very happy for him, and I hope everything works out.
See, that's my concern for him, is that we're all going to expect a certain kind of Joey Styles, and I think a lot of people might fail to mention that, not of his own volition, but he may not be able to be the same Joey Styles.
It's just like when a wrestler goes over there, and you've seen him work one way in one fed, and then he goes to the other fed, and he's not the same person he was.
Right.
So I've said this a million times, you're kind of limited in what you can do because you have to listen to The Office. So Joey does have the talent. Now, will we see him in the same aspect as we did in ECW? I'm not really sure, but that could be a good thing as well. We could see a different side to him,
Right. Yeah,
so
it's all in what you make of it.
Right, exactly. And we'll just have to watch. But I just wish, he's a wonderful man, very, very nice, and I wish him all the luck in the world.
Moving along on other news and notes, apparently Christian has quit the WWE.
That made me sad because I'm such a huge fan.
You're telling me. I couldn't even believe it. But in a way,
Yeah.
I'm kind of happy for him. I think maybe if, he takes a little bit of time off, heads on over to TNA, maybe. Who knows? He could be a huge star there. Not that he can't be at WWE. But, I mean, it's pretty apparent he was not being utilized to his full potential there.
Well,
maybe
I'll tell you
TNA
what.
will allow him to do that.
That's exactly what I said to you when we were talking about this on the phone the day it happened. But I will say this. He went downhill so fast in the WWE because he was getting one of the best crowd pops of the night earlier this year, and then they proceeded to crush him. And I never understood why. I don't understand what the logic was behind it. Maybe it's because they didn't plan for him to get over, and he did, and that kind of pissed them off because it wasn't planned. I don't know. But whatever the reason was, they kind of squashed him, and he was unhappy about it, and he did something about it. He quit, and who knows? Maybe this will be a positive for him.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, did he express interest in TNA? Does he still want to wrestle? I don't know.
It didn't really say. I mean, I think a lot of people just assume it's kind of the next logical step. I believe he lives in Florida, like a half an hour away from the Universal Studios. And I think that, there's never been anything that kind of indicates that he may have had enough of the wrestling business. It sounds more like he's just had enough with WWE. But again, I'm obviously no insider, so I don't know for sure. Let's
also say where the source is. He's not going to say on WWE.com, yeah, I'm leaving here and I'm going to TNA. They're not going to allow that fly. So he just said, for personal reasons. Well, the real reason is he just pretty much had it. I mean, that's logical to everybody.
The interview was done with them.
Yes.
That's what you're telling me. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, of course he's not going to mention anything else because you always want to keep that door open. But, would it be a coup for TNA? Absolutely. I think Christian was one of the best talents they had. I've said it on the air before. I think he's full of charisma. He's got a great look to him, and he's a good worker. So I'm sorry to see him go, but anybody who, makes themselves happy is okay in my book because that just proves that he won't do anything for a buck.
That's right.
And, that's integrity right there, and I applaud him for it.
Well, plus he's been in the business for, a fair amount of time. If he took his finances, did it correctly, he could, feasibly take a lot of time off and do what he wants to do for himself and not really necessarily have to worry about the financial aspects.
Right.
So, but moving on to other news, apparently Tori Wilson has also taken time off the company for personal reasons.
Yippee.
So there was first initially reported that she may have been fired from the WWE. WWE.com posted an interview with her saying that she's just taking some time off for personal reasons and apologized for not being at Taboo Tuesday. Right. The whole situation is relatively unclear at this point as to what actually went down with her.
From what I understand, she left on her own volition from Australia because somebody back home didn't want her to be there. Kidman, anybody? But she decided to fly on back, and she did, and that pulled her off Raw, that pulled her off Taboo Tuesday. They weren't really happy with her for it. They haven't fired her yet officially. But I would not be surprised if that wasn't far off.
It's been kind of a weird week as far as these personal issues go.
I will say this. Go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You can go ahead first.
No, I was just going to say, with me, family comes before anything.
Right.
Her husband should come before her job, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so if there's something going on with her husband, then by all means, go home and fix it.
This might make me...
because your husband is supposed to be with you for life, your job will not be there for life, so...
Well... Oh, what can I say
Sorry,
about this?
But it won't
She's my least favorite female ever in the business. I've never once been entertained by anything she did. Don't get me wrong, she's a beautiful girl, but I just think that she is so bland out there that it's painful to watch.
Oh, see, now I liked her heel persona. I thought she was really coming into her character well.
I don't think the crowd reacted to it at all.
I
don't
did.
Think well,
I did. I thought she played the bitch character really well. I like I said, her wrestling, but her character and just the way she handled herself, I thought she was, she was pulling it off. So, is it a huge loss for WWE? I think so, only because she was like their poster girl.
She was,
I think the female fans are really into her. I'm sorry, the female fans. The male fans.
Well, I'm sure there's some female fans that are into her.
Well, maybe
some
female fans are into her, but I think that the male demographic is really going to miss her on the calendar shoots and the divas, whatever they're called,
This is always something that's kind of interesting to me, is that a lot of these WWE divas go on, they do Playboy, and it seems like within the next 12 months or so, all of a sudden they're no longer with the company. It's kind of like, it was initially started out to be one of these great things, a great tool, to get yourself out there in mainstream America. Now it's almost became kind of a detriment, to like longevity within the WWE.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's the curse of Playboy, some people say. I'm glad Christy hasn't suffered from that. She's still over as heck. I think she was a diamond in the rough in the Diva Search contest. Otherwise, it would have been a complete disaster had anybody else had won that contest. So I don't know.
Well, they did get Candice Michelle out of that, and she's doing a really good job, I think.
Yeah, I'm always entertained.
As far
with
as
her.
sex appeal goes, I mean, she's got it. And I know we're jumping the gun, but I watched the Halloween costume, and just just the way she was acting too. She's there's some talent in there. It might not be wrestling wise, but what they're searching for, these girls have it, and whether you like them or not, they're beautiful girls, and they're going to draw attention.
Yeah, and they fill up a segment in the show, and people seem to like them, and for whatever reason, the ratings go up when they're on TV. So. More power to them.
Well, sex sells.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a question about that.
Exactly.
But moving along, we also want to talk a little bit about Stone Cold Steve Austin before we go to our commercial break.
Can I go off?
How about that? Another guy who will walk out for his integrity. I love it. Love it.
Integrity or ego?
Well, maybe a little both.
This is the second time the guy's done it. I don't know. It's becoming like the Ultimate Warrior Part 2 with this guy. They keep giving him opportunities to come back, get himself on TV, make some money. He sells a bunch of merchandise, and then people are looking forward to seeing him on the pay-per-view when he no-shows.
Well, was it based solely on the fact that Coach was going over? Because I didn't get the whole story on that. I thought there was a money discrepancy as well, but maybe I'm wrong.
I did not hear about a money discrepancy. I heard that he was just unhappy with the way the story was going. And it makes me my blood boil when I think that some guys still believe the business so much that they don't understand that it's okay to lose. I mean, come on now. You're Stone Cold Steve Austin. You're going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin whether you win or lose to the coach.
See, I really don't have I really don't have a problem with him deciding not to let it go down that way. There comes a point in time, he understands that coming down the road, they're going to have a big money feud with him and Hulk Hogan. Now, 6-7 months from now, do you really think that everyone's going to forget the coach went over him? I don't think so.
Yeah, but if they have an army take him down, they're going to remember the army that took him down, not the guy who got the pin on him.
Well, let me also finish this by saying there's been a lot of other things as far as the way that he feels that JR has been portrayed on television he's not a big fan of. It's kind of hard to say I'm going to come back to a job under what perhaps may have been false pretenses in his mind. And if that is the case, if Vince McMahon told him one thing and did something else or went another direction, he has every right to leave and say, listen, this is how I make my livelihood, this is my character, and this is what it should stand for, and I'm not going to let you decide to alter that for, some hotshot angle.
And it's just funny to hear James say about the winning and losing thing when I've argued about Carlito losing every single
we'll get
week.
to that later because he lost again. Another time he
but
lost.
But I'm just saying, you said it's okay to lose.
I think it's okay to lose once you're established to help build people. But Carlito's not established yet, and he's not going to get established by continuing to lose to every star they've got.
Okay.
But, I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin's not going to lose anything by losing to the coach. I don't know who would gain, and that's the only logical point that anybody ever said to me was, who gains by him losing? That's fair because Coach is not a wrestler, so he's not going to get anything from it. The only thing I could see gaining from it would be the McMahon family, and nobody wants that. So.
Right. Well, it like you said earlier, or somebody said it. I think it's the way that the match would have been booked, and it could have really, the coach could have went over in a way that didn't hurt Austin at all. But I mean, if you don't believe in something, by all means, walk.
Yeah.
Because you got to go with your gut, and that's why I respect him because, like I said, he did let people down because a lot of people did want to see him, but in the same token, you have to do what's right for you. And if he didn't feel that was the right move to do, then good for him for walking out.
Well, let me just
because not many people would do that.
Let me just throw this thought out here. I personally was not really disturbed or upset by this in any fashion. I think we're all putting, or maybe perhaps you, James, are putting a little bit too much stock into how much weight Stone Cold carries at this point in time.
Well, let me be quite honest with you. A lot of these guys who have gotten their way in the past are used to being able to play the politic game. And you cannot play it if you're not a current star. If you don't hold that same weight that you did 5 years ago, Vince is not going to bend over backwards for you.
Well, let me ask you this. Why can some stars that take time off, I don't want to mention any by name, can play politic games, but others are not allowed to?
Well, because if there's money to be made there. See, I think McMahon is going to forgive Stone Cold for this. Don't get me wrong. And I think you probably will see that Hulk Hogan versus Stone Cold feud, but that makes me worry because what if Stone Cold is told, you're going to lose to Hulk Hogan? He's going to say, oh, I'm not going to show up to WrestleMania. Well, great. You just killed the main event of WrestleMania on a guy who's proven himself twice that he's unreliable because he was supposed to job to Brock Lesnar 3 years ago, walked out.
And, you know, I guess that was some good foresight by Stone Cold because where's Brock Lesnar now? In Japan with some tattoo of a sword on his chest, doing absolutely nothing.
I hate Brock Lesnar, so yes, I agree with you.
I mean, so, you know, do you really want to knock the guy for that? No.
I don't knock him
he
for that.
protected himself
I
pretty
don't
well.
knock him for that, but when people like Hogan and The Rock will do the job for Brock Lesnar, then Austin should have too.
Well, then again, The Rock also had other avenues to pursue in order to, you know, secure his financial future. Same thing as Hulk Hogan. Maybe Austin doesn't have that luxury. I mean, the dude's paying out a lot of money in court fees and ex-wives, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So,
Okay.
you know, who knows? There's a lot of other issues that, you know, play into these kind of things that a lot of people don't seem to understand or necessarily even want to look at.
Right. We weren't in the meeting. We don't know what was said. You know, there could have been other factors. I mean, everything you read on the internet, there's a grain of salt. You know, not everything's true.
It's
and
not.
There might have been more. You know, there could have been other things that stemmed from this that we don't know about. So.
I thought everything on the internet was true. I mean,
Not really.
Didn't we all see Sting on Raw and everything like that?
Oh, did you?
Oh,
I must
yeah.
have missed that.
Yeah, I must have
Where
missed that
was
one,
I?
too.
I'm making fun of the internet.
I guess I blinked.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to take our first commercial break here. We're going to come back and discuss a little bit of Raw. So make sure you keep it locked right here to the Wrestling Epicenter on The Blaze, 1260 AM.
2 to 4 p.m. Friday. It's the Rap Attack.
Yo, this is your boy Chuck D. Don't forget to tune into the Rap Attack every Friday from 2 to 4 on The Blaze, 1260 AM. And don't forget to holla at your boy.
Only on The Blaze, 1260 AM. Call The Blaze request line at 480-965-1260. Request your favorite song. 480-965-1260. The Blaze, 1260 AM.
Worker of the Week.
Joey Styles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the coach, Jonathan Coachman from the WWE, and of course, you're listening to the Interactive Interview.
Welcome back here to the Wrestling Epicenter on The Blaze, 1260 AM. We're going to talk now a little bit of Monday Night Raw. It took place out of Anaheim, California. Started out with General Manager Eric Bischoff coming to the ring, along with Chris Masters. The coach got involved. Kind of a cluster to open up the show, in my opinion.
Yeah, it wasn't. What's going on with it?
Wow, I love it.
What's that coming from?
There, problem solved.
All
What
right.
happened?
I pushed the wrong button. I'm not the fastest tool in the shed.
I thought I thought the bell was back in a different way.
Yeah, it's the humming bell. It's the feedback bell.
I wasn't sure what that was.
It's great.
Okay.
It's going to get
All
over
right.
huge.
I
Yeah,
crushed the bell a couple weeks ago, so that's dead.
Yeah, that's what I said. Maybe they brought it back in a new character. I don't know.
Yeah, I had to ding myself right off the bat.
There you go. Okay.
Opening,
So, yeah.
opening segment. I have no thoughts on this, Chuck. I've got to be honest with you.
Oh, why not?
It was blah. I don't care.
Yeah, it was blah.
I mean, you had Rey Mysterio getting up on a chair, going at it. People come out.
That was funny.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny when Chris Masters picked up Ray. I got a chuckle out of it. But Ray's so talented. He's awesome.
Well, that's why he gets a job when he's that small. There's a lot of guys on the indie scene that are as small as Rey Mysterio, but they don't get there because they're not quite as talented.
Right. Yeah. Ray's a diamond in the rough. Definitely.
You know, I actually think there's going to be a lot of future Rey Mysterios out there that are going to come up, and I don't think we're going to find Rey Mysterio as impressive within the next year or two.
I disagree with that completely.
I mean, there's so many people over there in Ring of Honor right now that can do the same things that he can do.
Yeah,
For
but they're not
example,
going to be on a national level.
No, they might not. Well, eventually they will. I mean,
Who says?
Someone's going to get an opportunity somewhere, whether it be in TNA, WWE, you know, and who knows what even Ring of Honor can do somewhere down the road. I personally don't find that they're going to probably do too much, but there's always the opportunity.
Once you typecast yourself to only selling yourself to the internet community, you're never going to reach the mainstream. And that's what Ring of Honor has done.
No, but they do have stars that can transcend out of Ring of Honor and go other places.
But do you know how much talent? I go to a lot of indies. Do you know how much talent's out there that will never ever make it anywhere?
Oh, I'm sure there's a ton.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's so much out there that people will never ever get a chance to see because 1% will make it.
Well, there's what, 3,000 professional wrestlers out there right now in the United States, and there's what, 40 people on the WWE roster.
Right.
So.
Is there 3,000? How do you know that?
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
You're smart, James.
Thank you. I'll take that.
You're very smart.
But
I don't know how many workers there are, but I know there's a lot.
It's like I think of people like Amazing Red, for example, right?
Yeah.
This guy is probably better than Rey Mysterio, but the difference is he hasn't gotten the break. Somewhere along the line, someone's going to get a break. And Rey Mysterio's not going to look as phenomenal as he is. Let's look at this guy, Roderick Strong, right? We saw him at Impact. We're going to talk about later. I mean, this guy's not particularly big, right?
Well, he's pretty big and he's pretty strong. He's got to pick those guys up and do those backbreakers.
Well, there's a difference between being strong and being actually big in physical stature. At some point in time, all I'm saying is there's going to be some small guys that come up, and I don't think Rey Mysterio is going to look that impressive anymore.
I disagree. People have been saying that since '96, and the guy's still going strong.
Hey, why don't we go to our first match? Kurt Angle versus Tajiri.
Okay. Kurt Angle against Tajiri. Tajiri's another small guy.
I was happy to see Tajiri working.
Yeah.
He actually got in a fair amount of offense, and this is another kind of tidbit of news. Apparently, he also kind of threatened to leave the WWE to go be a weatherman back in his...
In Japan.
Yeah.
What?
He wants
recently?
Yeah. He wants
to
go...
that's so awesome!
He's thinking about going back to Japan to do either newscasting or to be a weatherman. That's
real. And when did this stem?
This was like 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
At least that's what's
that's
rumored.
That's really good. And so I guess he changed his mind now.
Are you happy to see these people leave the business? I mean,
I'm just happy to see people standing up to, the higher powers in the WWE.
Ah, okay.
I think it's gutsy and ballsy, and I
especially today when there's no place else to go.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just think it's refreshing because there's so many people trying to get in.
Right.
And just to see people trying to get out is it's just a change, So, if something in your gut tells you to go, you need to go.
Well, at least in this particular match, Tajiri was able to get in a fair amount of offense, and of course, looking with Kurt Angle, he looked good. No, I'm just kidding.
You're such a
here
mark.
we go again.
No.
I'm so in love with Kurt Angle.
He's a good worker. What can I say?
You love him.
He's entertaining to watch.
You're going to marry him.
No, I don't know anything about that, but maybe Teal will come in later and marry him. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, but I think it's good to some degree that these people are able to stick up for themselves. But, it's a difficult situation for everyone involved. There's going to come a point in time where WWE maybe will get the message through people like Christian and Tajiri saying, I'm out. Because these people have all been so grossly misused since they've been brought in, as far as like a lot of the ECW alum, the WCW alum. That it's better late than never. But I guess I kind of agree with Francine here that it's good that they do stick up for themselves.
I agree. You know what it is too, guys? You do this for so long, okay? And it happened with me as well. In the beginning, you eat it, you breathe it, you sleep it. You can't wait to do it. As the years go on and you're misused and you're promised things that you don't get, you start to lose your passion.
Right.
So there comes a time when you say to yourself, okay, is it really worth it anymore? And maybe, just maybe, some of these guys, even though they're there and this is the big deal, WWE is the biggest thing that's, going on in wrestling, there's a time when you have to stand up for yourself and say, okay, I won't be walked on. I won't be taken advantage of. So it's this or nothing.
Right.
And if you can do that and walk away with your head held high, 100% respect goes to you. Because you can only take so much. And I know so many people that are there that are not happy.
Right.
But they're doing it because there's really, for the money that they're making, I don't know what TNA offers people, but I can't fathom that it's in the ranks of WWE.
Oh, it's not.
Well,
No
let's
way.
look at
No,
Christian.
that's what I'm saying.
He was, he had a downside contract of like $200,000. Christian did, and with his,
Right.
he wasn't really, high up on the card. He was still, with appearances, pay-per-view appearances, merchandise
right,
sales.
bonuses.
He was still making
I know how that
$400,000 a
works.
year. He's making $500,000 a year almost.
That's what I'm saying, to walk away because you're frustrated. You can only, when you're on the road 300 days a year and you're in the same environment and you're being taken advantage of or whatever the case is, it gets to you and it eats you up.
I'm sure
So
it
to
takes a
walk
lot of
away
balls.
from that, what's that?
I said it takes a lot of balls to just up and
That's
leave.
what I'm saying. That's why I'm not happy that these people are leaving
Right.
the business. I don't think they're actually leaving the business per se.
Right.
But to get up and walk away for something you believe in, to me, that's huge.
I got to be
And
honest with you.
I give them the respect that, all the respect in the world, because a lot of people put up with a lot of BS because they have to. Not everybody can walk away.
I got to be honest with you. With all the negative things that I hear from these guys leaving the WWE lately, and how they're tired of playing the politics game, and how they can't talk to anybody backstage because they're afraid if they say the wrong thing, it's going to get back to the bosses and they'll lose their job. And now they're with a dress code that you have to dress a certain way to be with the company. I mean, let's be honest. Not every wrestler, like, take the Sandman, for example. Could you imagine them telling him, you got to wear a three-piece suit?
Right.
I'm trying to figure this out. These guys walk around and wrestle in the ring basically wearing underpants, but when they're backstage, they got to be wearing a three-piece suit. I don't get it.
Well, I guess, it goes to representing the company if you're in public. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, how much of this do you think is BS? Let's get down to the nuts and bolts of it here, right? Let's say you're at a job, you got a family, and for some reason or other, you're misused. They decide they have nothing for you and let you go. What positive do you have to say? Now, does that necessarily mean that there were some shysty things happening backstage? In my opinion, probably not. Is there some? Yes. Do I think it's overhyped? Probably a little bit. I don't think it's as bad as everyone makes it out to be. I'm sure there's people there that maybe abuse their power a little bit. But, you can't take, we had Charlie Haas on the air. This guy was livid. But I think he was more livid because he just got married. Him and his wife were fired, essentially, within a couple weeks. You know what I mean? They got bills to pay now. They're probably like, oh, we're getting a Hummer. We're getting a new house. And then all that comes to a halt. Of course you have nothing positive to say. Does that mean that he said something backstage or there's this huge conspiracy to let... No, I don't believe that.
I got to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of politics right now in backstage WWE.
Totally is.
I just
you don't know it until you're there. And I've just talked to so many people that despise it. And I'm not going to name names because a lot of them still work there.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, that's their livelihood. And some people can suck it up and just go out there and do it, whether they're, they're not pushed at all and, they're just happy to be getting a check.
Let's put it out there. Brock Lesnar was the king of the world in 2003. He was the world heavyweight champion, and he goes and does some interview and tells everybody that he's miserable. If he's miserable and he's being given everything on a silver platter, then what are the guys that are working on the curtain jerkers trying to get a job there thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's hard for either you or I, James, to really pass judgment in a way.
Right.
Because, we don't know. We sit here
you have to be in that.
chair.
Yeah, you have to be in that position. You have to be in the locker room. I only worked there the one time, and that was for our pay-per-view.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was a totally different thing because it was, it really wasn't the same circumstances. So I just go by from what I hear. And by all means, if somebody's miserable at something or you're not happy and you want to get out, get out.
Right.
Bounce.
And that's it. If something bothers you, and it's not just this, it's any job. You might hate your boss, then walk. Get another job. Do something else. Wrestling is hard to walk away from, but I would rather walk away than be mistreated and have to walk on eggshells and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's morals that go into both sides of the story. We got to do a whole specialty show on one of the days. You know what I mean?
We got to do a couple specialty shows.
I know. We got requests for all this because we start getting on these quick little rants and everyone wants to know more about it.
Right.
Oh, well, okay.
But let's move on.
Bottom line is if you're not happy, you should leave. And it looks like a lot of people aren't happy and they're walking.
Right.
But Vince McMahon has all the power in the world. So, if you don't like what the boss says, then take a hike. Bottom line.
That is the bottom line.
Because I said so.
Because Francine said so. Well, I'm interested to hear your guys' take on this next segment. It was Rob Conway versus Eugene, which was odd that they gave away this match away for free on Raw.
I went off as soon as this match was on my television screen. I think you were on the phone with me at the time. And I'm like, we're going to see this match tomorrow night on pay-per-view, and we're having it the day before.
And it was also odd, in my opinion, that we saw Superfly, we saw Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
I love that.
I saw this out of nowhere. Oh, I mean,
Yeah, that was a special little bonus.
who else was the other guy there?
Kamala.
All right.
You Ugandan
Gandhi
Giants.
Giants.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Oh, I just slipped my mind.
Oh, there you go.
See, I thought this
Well,
was
they
kind of...
they did that just because of the voting thing, right?
Right. And I
Yeah.
got to be honest with you, and we're going to cover Taboo Tuesday coming up in a little bit, but I cannot believe that people voted for Snuka over Hacksaw.
Is
Just
that who
based-
got it? See,
yeah.
I didn't see the pay-per-view, so.
Right. They voted. They said that Snuka got voted in, but I got to believe Hacksaw did, just because everybody in that crowd was going ho and all that. So
Am I the only one that's not that impressed by Mr. Duggan?
I think you're not. I think you might be. I love the guy.
I kind of don't really like these segments in a way.
Why?
Like, I mean,
Would you rather more? What is that? Proctology? On my
No, I'd not rather see
yeah,
that.
that was great.
But this is, I don't know. There's a value in old school people coming out, you know, for certain segments. But it feels like they keep doing this with Rob Conway, and it's not really going anywhere. It seems like they're just like feeding him these guys. Nothing's ever coming of it because then we'll see him on TV for 2 weeks.
He's sort of like a legend killer, but they're not playing it up that way.
I mean,
They did this. Yeah, it's the same thing that they were doing with what's his face, Randy Orton.
it's not that I don't like the old guys, right?
Right.
It's the way that I guess they're using him is what I have a problem with. I just don't see, you know, I'm a big fan of Rob Conway. I think he could be good, but they got to give it more time. You can't just feed him 3 old school guys and you know expect there to be a feud the night before pay-per-view and then not have, you know, the guy ever cut a promo, not see him on TV for 2 or 3 weeks at a time.
Well, I think a problem they're having with this character is that it's only happening on Heat. Like on Heat the past couple weeks, and nobody knows this, he wrestled Coco Beware one week, and the week before that he wrestled Greg the Hammer Valentine. I mean, I think that's kind of cool.
Well,
to
yeah,
see
but
those old
I
guys
didn't know
stepping
that,
up. Yeah, nobody knows it because nobody watches Heat.
which is even funnier.
When is
'cause-
Heat on?
It's on the internet. It's on WWE.com over the weekend.
Oh, it's not even on TV anymore.
Nope.
No.
They lost
Oh,
that when
wow,
they
I
went
thought
off
it was
Spike.
on like MTV. I guess I'm so out of it.
It's been off of MTV since like 2002. I think.
Don't feel bad. I don't know it either.
That's so wrong. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
okay.
it's funny. I love it.
That's so horrible. See me? That's great. All right.
Anyway, coming up next on Raw, we saw the, I'm trying to look to even see it. We saw Carlito hit the ring.
Carlito.
Cut a little promo here. This was awesome when they had like the morphing Mick Foley's. Like we saw more from Dude Love
Great.
to Cassius
That was a
Jack.
great
That
promo.
was sweet.
Yeah.
It was a great
Yeah.
segment, but once I saw it, I knew who was going to win.
Yeah, that was the only thing that kind of depressed me about it. I didn't really want to see Mankind.
Was that?
Yeah,
oh, I thought we
Mankind.
wanted to see Cactus Jack.
We all did, but I think he
We
cut a
didn't
better
vote
promo.
though. We should have voted.
I know. Not that we would have made a difference, but
There was like, I think they said, I think Joey's line was there was 5,973 votes or something like that. It was ridiculous. I don't even know if that's even a number.
So wait, let me just 1 second. Did Joey do the pay-per-view?
Yes,
yeah.
he did last night.
Did he do it with somebody else?
He did it with the
Jerry.
Lawler.
Yeah, Jerry the King.
Oh, him and Lawler did.
Yeah,
He?
the coach
Oh,
got destroyed
awesome.
by
Okay,
Batista.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, you don't have to talk about that till later. But I didn't know Joey actually called the pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I can't
Very
wait
good.
to see how they do, because I know Lawler's not exactly an ECW faithful. So
Mhm.
between him and Joey, if they ever mention ECW on the air, they can get into a shouting match in the middle of
Oh,
the match.
dude, this is another one of these things that are so hyped up. How long ago was this? Like 10 years?
And Jerry worked for us a bunch of times.
Yeah.
It was nothing but professional.
Business
so
is business. These guys are
it's
not going
more
to
of
start
a work
shooting at
than
each other.
anything else,
Right? They're
I'm
not going to
telling
shoot
you.
each other.
Regardless,
on
I think
live
it'd be hysterical if they did start
Oh,
yelling at each
it's
other.
good TV if they do it, but I don't think it stems from Lawler's belly or anything. I mean, I think most of it was just brought up because it was part of the storyline.
Right. All right. Well, let's
Extreme crappy wrestling, you know.
let's quickly move on here because we have a lot to cover in this next segment, which is, to me, a complete cluster. We had Coach dressed as Stone Cold Steve Austin. Comes out, talks some smack. Funaki comes out. He lays out Funaki. Then Goldust comes out. And then Vader comes out. And then Batista comes out. And then Eric Bischoff's there. And Teddy Long's there. And it's insanity. This went on for way too long.
I don't know if I'm supposed to take this out of this segment, but I thought the best part of the segment was Vader getting out of the ring and falling down and then standing up and screaming S-H-I-T whatever into the camera.
Oh, I missed that part. What the hell's wrong with me? Where was I?
He was.
It wasn't like a really like shown thing. He just kind of stumbled when he got out of the ring.
Oh, he fell down. He fell down and they cut the camera because they have the great production there, and he just screamed that vulgar word into the camera, and I thought it was hysterical.
Wait, he fell leaving the ring?
Yeah. Like he just fell on his ass. He just did a yard sale and got up and walked to the back. I mean, it wasn't anything huge.
That's not good.
He went through the ropes and he went to put his foot down on the mat, and his foot just kept going, and he went whoosh.
I'll tell you what.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Neither him nor Goldust looks like they're in pristine condition.
Goldust looked fine.
Well, I'll tell you who did look good was Batista. He's a very handsome man.
Sure he is.
Yes.
He's always dressed.
I don't watch SmackDown.
Right.
I say this every time, so I'm not used to him.
Yeah, he's always dressed to the nines.
Suit,
yeah.
He was striking, man. He looked really good.
He's nice and tan, got the nice little fade going, the goatee.
He looks good.
Yeah, and he's jacked.
I dare you to argue with me about that one because you just can't.
I can't. If I was a chick, I'd be into Batista.
Totally, yeah.
Do you think he's better looking than Kane?
I have to give the edge to Batista on that one.
That's good. If you said otherwise, Francine.
I still don't think Kane is bad looking.
But
I really don't.
I want to get back to this. How surprised you guys that Goldust is even... I was just shocked by this, because last I knew he was in TNA, and his father was involved in TNA, then his father left, and now suddenly he's in WWE. It's a little silly, don't you think?
I kind of expected it. I mean, Dusty's
Why is it
booking.
silly? They're bringing back everybody else. Why not Goldust?
It just seems silly that, Goldust had, a few problems last time he was back with WWE, and, I guess I don't know. I'm a little disenfranchised at this point in time with the amount of chances that everyone gets. I don't know. It seems like I'm seeing the same things over and over again.
Unfortunately, there's just a situation right now where the WWE offices seem to think that nobody can take their place. So they
it just bores me a little bit, to be honest with you. I'm sick of seeing the same guys I saw 10 years ago. They have value, don't get me wrong, and there's a lot of old school fans out there that it's nice to see them. But I guess just the way they're being. Why would Vader why would he come back? Just to be with the coach? I mean, it doesn't even really make any sense.
No.
Did it have something to do with the copyright of his name or the trademark, do you think?
Well, he signed
Remember that whole thing?
Yeah, with his website trying to be shut down.
Yeah, like I remember reading about that, and they were giving him a hard time, so I thought maybe...
Oh, Francine,
when
you're
I
a
saw
genius.
Well, no, it's... I just thought maybe it intertwined, and they might have promised him a couple shots.
Well, the problem was he signed a Legends contract with them, but what he didn't read is that he basically was signing over his name to them as well. And there you go.
Well, maybe they worked out a deal to put him back on TV, and he accepted just to drop everything, and who knows?
I heard a weird little rumor that maybe Sabu signed a Legends contract so he could get an action figure put out by WWE.
I don't think the TNA would allow that.
That was posted somewhere on the internet as well.
Isn't that why they got rid of Jimmy Hart?
Yeah, because Jimmy showed up on Raw, so I don't think they can do that.
I mean, Sabu was probably a little more valuable than Jimmy Hart.
Well, yeah, but... Well, Jimmy was good because Jimmy would, like, walk around Universal Studios and, like, shake people's hands and wasn't afraid to do that. So that was his value. He would be like a walking billboard.
Right. I don't know. This was just kind of a long, drawn-out segment. I was really unhappy with the fact that Batista, yes, he got his revenge the following night at Taboo Tuesday. But it just seemed unrealistic. It made Batista look weak, I thought. The guys out there looked weak. It was just kind of a weak segment. I don't know.
Did you like how after the beatdown he looks up to the camera and just gives us a big smile?
Yeah. Batista's a great character. And it's so sad that he had to just fill in for Stone Cold in a way as well.
Right.
Like, you could tell this is all just, like, last minute.
Yeah. Well,
and I thought the fans were disappointed. Like, you could hear it in the audience. I do think they were disappointed that Steve Austin was not there that night.
Perhaps.
Well, I don't think it helped any by having Coach dressed up as Stone Cold either.
Right.
Well, they're putting their digs into him. You know, Vince. That's a dig to Steve Austin right there. So, and Vince can do that because it's his stage.
Right.
Hey, the next match we saw was Triple H versus Viscera, and I actually really enjoyed this whole little situation.
Dude, it was like 13 seconds.
And I loved it because it gave Triple H some momentum going into Taboo Tuesday.
Speaking of blinking and mixing it. I mean, come on, that was over as soon as it happened.
Yeah, but that actually almost served a purpose. It made Triple H look extremely strong.
And then he gets
killed.
And
you know what I don't follow too, and this is my stupidity. Wasn't Lillian in love with Viscera?
Yeah, this has been brought up a little bit. Yeah.
You're not supposed to.
And what happened? They just dropped it, right?
Well, they were having the heartthrobs. Is that what they're called? They were supposed to be fighting. Yeah, they're supposed to be fighting on behalf of Lillian, and then they stopped. And then
they just stopped because I remember her announcing, and she would be like, "Okay, next is Viscera." But this time she was like, "It's Viscera," and I was like, "I thought you were in love with him. What happened?
Yeah.
I missed something."
I guess she doesn't
But
hold a
anyway,
grudge.
not that it's important, but I just thought I'd bring it up because I did remember that angle, and now it's gone.
I find you don't have anything positive to say about this, James. A little funny. You're always so in favor of the squash matches.
I wasn't in favor of the squash matches. However, I think that they were doing something decent with the V squared, Val Venus and Viscera.
That was dropped like 4 weeks ago, dude.
Yes, it has been dropped, and now he's got a new tag team partner. I don't even know who it is, Val Venus I'm speaking of. But I thought they could have done something with that team instead of just turning Viscera into the jobber. Because, I mean, he's just too big. He's too big to be a jobber.
And why was he paired up with Triple H? They said something about last week they were supposed to have a match. Like, they're just throwing him into it. There's no storyline with these two, right?
No.
Yeah, so what's the point?
This Raw was so highly criticized all over everywhere.
So crazy.
It's been a weird couple weeks. Like, I even think our show suffered because we don't even have any good material to work with when we talk about Raw.
Well, we got a lot to cover this week though, so we better keep blowing through it though.
I know, man.
Okay.
Well, next week, this was what I liked. This is what saved the show to me. I don't know what y'all think of this. I had to really kind of weigh my options here. I could either give the work of the week to Joey Styles, or who I thought did a phenomenal job was Todd Grisham with his
Harry Carey.
That was funny.
That was awesome.
I thought that
so
was really
great.
funny.
You know, because he's usually so dry and boring, to see him like that, I thought was a total trip. I was like, I dig it.
Sounded like him.
Yeah, he did sound like him. And he did a great impression. I mean, the whole head shaking thing was perfect. And
it was funny. I just don't think a lot of people got it.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of the younger people don't know who Harry Carey is.
Yeah.
It's like if you made fun of John Madden, they'd get it. But Harry Carey, they don't get it.
You know what else I like?
Everybody owns Madden 2005 or whatever the football game is.
You know what else I really enjoyed?
I'm so glad you said football. Sorry.
I know my sports. Don't even start.
So let's talk about the Eagles then, shall we?
No. I thought you were going to say another F word.
We'll do that when they win a game, all right?
That's going to be a while, I'm afraid.
Shut up. We can go all night here because I'm getting piped up.
Yeah. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about the Heartthrobs, Big Show and Kane? This was phenomenal to me. I thought this was funny. Like anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah.
And the Heartthrobs were good themselves. We're both dressed as Batman. I loved it.
Yeah, I liked it.
And they looked nothing like Batman. It was hysterical.
I think they missed a good spot though when Big Show threw one of them out, and Kane intercepted one of the Heartthrobs, and Big Show screamed, "That was my bat!" I thought that was great.
It was good. I mean, it was, sometimes these like little gimmicky tag teams get over. I don't know that I would have given the title the following night at Taboo Tuesday, which ended up happening. But
the Heartthrobs?
No, Kane and Big Show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Beat Murdoch and Cade.
What it was the ones who did not get picked for the world title match ended up teaming up for the tag titles.
Okay. See, I'm not even.
This is so confusing, really. The whole thing.
Not following. I don't even know who the participants were in anything. So.
I woke up this morning because of a pay-per-view last night, thinking, "Wow, Monday Night Raw's on tonight." I'm like, "No, it's not. I got a show."
Tuesday.
Very
Hence
confusing.
The name Taboo Tuesday.
What do you think of this Halloween Diva contest? Did Ashley Viscera not look stunning?
Who?
Ashley.
Oh, I thought they all looked good.
I actually think Candice looked the greatest of all.
I really was impressed how she slithered to the ring. I thought she was very sexy looking. Yeah, I thought they're all beautiful girls. They really are. Like I said, every single one of them has something different that every man's gonna, Like I always said, if you don't like me, you might like somebody else. You know what I mean? So everybody brings something different to the table. As far as the contest went, I knew it wasn't going to be much of a contest because they never are.
Right.
But this it was like a filler segment to me. And then when Tori wasn't there, I just found it odd.
Yeah,
but we all know the situation with that.
It wasn't helped at all when they had Candice and Victoria walk out together, because then you felt.
That's what it is. If you ever notice this, the week before they're at each other's throats, and then they're all standing in the ring because we're going to have a contest. I'm sorry, if I don't like you, I'm going to knock you out. Don't stand next to me, or have somebody, be a mediator, be between you and try to keep separating each other. No, they're all standing next to each other like, okay, vote for me. Like, it's not realistic, but then again, wrestling is not supposed to be realistic, so.
Well, I always felt that way about press conferences, too. Like, if these guys really hate each other, they're sitting on the opposite side of a table together, is it one of them going to, jump over the table and attack them?
Well, eventually you would think so, but most of these diva segments, I mean, the 1 week they're at each other's throats, and the next week they're standing next to each other. So do they make sense? Not really, but it's a TNA filler. So that's
people like it.
That's why. Yeah, that's exactly why they did it.
Hey, I just got an update from one of our listeners on AOL Instant Messenger, which you can always reach me at Chuck D1260. But apparently Jakks Pacific has in fact signed Sabu to a deal, as well as they also purchased some of the estate rights to Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, to actually make action figures of them.
Oh, that's excellent. That's good news, but I'm just curious what that's going to do to Sabu and TNA.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like
it might not hurt him though because he's not appearing on their TV.
He's not appearing there anymore?
Who?
No, Sabu's not appearing on WWE TV.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So that might not. No, TNA definitely, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's a separate entity altogether.
Right.
If he walked on holding his doll, I think there'd be a problem. But maybe, you know.
I think that's where Jimmy Hart made the mistake. He actually showed up on TV.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So maybe, Sabu not being on TV but signing a deal, that might not hurt him.
Right.
You know, Francine, I called Sabu for that interview I was telling you about.
Yes.
He totally shot me down so hardcore.
Did he really? Because I was going to talk to him on Saturday when we have Hardcore Homecoming this weekend.
Yeah, he was like, I was like, so, your agent said he'd be interested in doing an interview. He's like, no.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like,
okay.
All right, well, thanks for your time, buddy.
All right, then.
That's only the second interview I've ever been, like, dogged on.
Yeah,
him and Rob
Wow.
Black both just shot me down hardcore.
And those are two people you just admire.
Yeah, those are two interviews I thought would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I admire Sabu.
Well, no, Rob Black, it was not that I admire. It was the fact that their interviews would be riveting. I thought they'd both have good things to say. Rob Black would be crazy. He'd be great to have on because he'd say stuff that people would be like, oh, my God.
What's wrong with him? Yeah.
Right, and it'd make for good radio. I think in terms of good radio, not versus in terms of good wrestling. And I thought Sabu would be another one. And these two guys that get all hyped up for it, like next Scott Steiner's going to be like, no, Chuck, you can't have an interview. And then I'm just going to be like, well, great. I'm done.
You got to rock.
I mean, it's
like Charlie Brown on Halloween. You keep getting
it's
rocked.
sad, isn't it? I get this like
Poor
little
guy.
sad Christmas tree.
No, the best would be if Kurt Angle turned you down.
Well, those are like the only four people that like I'm really excited to interview.
That would be great. Let's work on that.
Kurt Angle turning me down.
Let's work on Kurt Angle.
Let's not and say we did. We can make an angle of it. It'll be great.
I gotta tell you, I was so nervous when I was trying to get Hogan on the show. I mean, I was on the phone with the VH1 people for like months, and I just like every day, can you help me out? And they're like, oh, well, call this number, and I literally for months set that up. So people, listen to that interview because that was the most work I've ever done to get one.
Wow.
It's just always disappointing, because you always want to do something good, and then for some reason or other, and he's obviously got his right to say no, and they all do.
Right.
But it is a little harder when you're kind of a fan of what they do.
And Sabu is such a great guy.
Yeah,
really
I'm sure. I'm not
like,
bashing the guy by any means.
guy.
He totally has the right to go ahead and say no, but it sucks, because I'm a big fan of like the hardcore style, and I'm a little more of a spot monkey fan myself than I am of like actual mat wrestling.
Right.
So whenever I get a chance to interview someone, they'll do like some sick high spots.
Well, the difference between Sabu and a lot of other quote-unquote spot monkeys.
Well, he has the ability to work. Yes.
He actually can work.
No, I'm not.
He's just crazy enough to do that crazy stuff too.
Maybe that came out wrong. Yes.
Right.
He's able to work, but I like the high spots kind of moves. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
That's what always drew me to ECW was the fact these people jump off balconies. I'm like, I love it.
Right.
I don't want to watch some guy do a leg drop. That's boring to me.
Sucks.
Yeah, it's all right. These things happen, You move on.
That was a shot at me, by the way.
No, that was not a shot at you. That was a shot at Hulk Hogan.
Well, one and the same.
What? I've heard it. You got a surgically repaired hip now, and you're balding.
Oh.
I love it.
That's not nice at all.
Okay. Anyway.
Back to
so the Diva segment was it was okay.
I liked it. I thought it was fine. It served its purpose.
Cute.
Gave a little Halloween flair to the show.
Sure.
I'm happy with it.
Okay, good for you.
All right. Shawn Michaels versus John Cena. This was the final match of the evening.
Yeah.
And it was a good match.
It was a good match.
I loved it.
It was a schmoz finish. I don't think anybody expected much else besides a schmoz finish, and it was, and that's great. Everybody's happy. What I don't understand, though, and I was discussing this last night, and maybe I'm just thinking way too much into this, why was Kurt Angle knocked out at the end? John Cena got caught with sweet chin music, not Kurt Angle. Angle just kind of fell over and was dead. So, Chuck, you're Mr. Kurt Angle, Mark. Tell me, what was he doing there?
I don't know. I'm assuming that's how he was told to work that segment.
Because he was holding John. Remember when he took the kick?
Yeah.
So they both fell back, so maybe he was just selling that.
I guess.
Well, listen, the whole purpose of this was only to set up a match at Taboo Tuesday. They want to get Michaels to vote in so they could have a couple of good workers to help John Cena.
How about the fact that Cena got booed? I have to mention that he got booed. There was like 40% boos for him.
Well, it's always tough when you're putting him in there
But
with
there
someone
was
like Shawn Michaels.
50% cheers.
Yeah, but still, when you're
So
the...
he's
still over.
Don't get me
20%
wrong.
up.
I do think he's over as heck, but you don't want to have a portion of the crowd booing the number one
You got
baby
two
face.
baby faces. You got
yeah.
baby versus baby. Totally, yeah.
I
They're
did
gonna
find
be
it funny, though.
50-50 usually.
If anybody out there orders the replay of the pay-per-view, watch during the Carlito and Mankind match. The crowd starts chanting "Cena sucks," and I don't understand why.
Really?
I don't get it. I mean, he's not even involved in the match, number one, and number two, isn't he supposed to be like the number one face in the company? So I was
Are you
kind
sure
of.
they weren't saying Sacco sucks?
I'm 99.9% positive they were chanting "Cena sucks."
Okay.
Hey, that happens from time. You know, a lot of the thing now is people like to be like the go against the grain kind of style. And I think that just comes, I mean, Cena's still over. He's not going to be not over anytime in the near future. He's still got a loyal fan base of, a younger generation of fans that see something in him that he's not able to get, in any other star right now. So I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon.
No, definitely not.
You go to different cities, you get different reactions. Shawn Michaels still goes to Canada, he gets booed out of the building. He comes to the States, everyone loves him. It's just one of those things,
I
Yeah,
guess.
and there's so much money in Cena that if eventually he does start to get booed, turn him heel.
Yeah, indeed.
He can work a heel character probably just as good as he can work babyface.
Well,
know?
he was a heel for a time, wasn't he, when he first debuted a little bit?
I think that's where they're starting to boo him. I think people want to see a little bit of that hardcore edge. What are you doing with
Maybe.
your arms?
What?
Chuck's trying to give me some kind of symbol, and I don't know what he's trying to say to me.
Is it the we gotta go, wrap it up?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Say what it is now. The cat's out of the bag now, so tell me what that means.
I don't have anything to say. I wasn't doing anything.
For future, yes, you were. You were doing like the wave.
Was he slicing his throat?
No.
What was he doing?
I was doing nothing. I was just making a little circular motion, and he's just asking me what on the radio, dogging me out.
I don't know what that means. I'm sorry.
See, this is one of those situations where what I'm doing behind does not translate well to people who can't see.
Are you guys sitting near each other?
We're right next to each other, and he's doing this
Okay,
arm
what
motion.
you need to do to avoid me and the listeners hearing is have a pad in front of you and a pen. So then if something comes up that you don't want me to know about or the fans, you jot it down on the paper and you pass it to your partner.
You mean Chubby Checker over here doing the twist is not going to do it for me?
I don't know
what
if
that
that's
means,
some
Chuck. I'm
gang
sorry.
symbol. I don't know what he's doing. What are you doing?
Nothing. Nothing's happening here.
Calisthenics? Are you getting into
No,
shape?
I
Are
go
you
to the
running
gym
a
after the
marathon?
show. You know what I mean? I'm good to go for tonight.
Well, that's just a tip for the future. Have a pen and a pad.
I'm
Francine,
sorry.
it's a good tip always to not kind of tip your hand as to what's going on behind the scenes.
I apologize that I did that, but
We've now officially broken kayfabe, if you will.
I
I
kept
told
asking you,
for
what
future
are you
reference.
doing? That's like me in the middle of a match saying, what's the
Well,
next
let me
spot?
pose this to you. Next time you ask me what I'm doing,
Okay.
what I'll do is I'll turn off the mic. We'll let there be some dead air. I'll explain to you what I'm
No, there
doing
won't
so
be
no
dead
one
air
can
because
hear.
I'll just mumble about nothing.
Could you sing a song for us?
Well, then you'd have no listeners. That wouldn't be a good thing. Believe
Oh,
me.
dear. I just love when the train falls off the tracks for a minute.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
fine.
I just don't. I really am sorry. I wasn't trying to dog you out. I just don't know what that
Maybe he
is.
was scratching himself.
No,
Maybe
he kept.
something was going on that he didn't want anybody to know about. The personal thing.
I ignored it the
brought
first
to our
3
attention.
times. I ignored it the first 3 times.
Well,
When he did it again, I was like, "What
See,
are
this
you
just
Maybe
doing?"
gets
that
sillier.
rash maybe his rash didn't go away
This
yet.
is sillier and sillier. He now
gotta
tells me he
handle it.
ignores the hand symbols I do. I just ignored it the first 3 times. Well, that's probably not a good idea either.
Well, because I don't know what you're saying, and I didn't want to say that on the air.
So we just ignore things now.
Yes, I do.
Oh, my Lord.
What did it mean? Tell me.
Well, it did mean we had to go to break.
Okay, well, let's do that.
But now we're
Why
like
don't you
10
just
minutes
say, hey,
past.
we have to go to break. Francine, thanks for being
No,
here.
it's got nothing to do with saying Francine being here. It's not proper radio etiquette to say, listen, we got to take a break now
But
and
it
just
is
stop the
proper
momentum.
radio etiquette to argue amongst ourselves, and I
Yes.
just said you had a rash in a bad place, and
Well,
just
Francine,
I'm making up stories just to
If I was waving
myself.
my arms in a huge circle, that means I'm like King Kong sized over here if I have a rash.
You're
you know what I'm
airing
saying?
out your armpits. You're sweaty. Something's going on.
No,
you don't
no.
want us to know about. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's okay because we all have our problems.
I'm getting lectured here. It's not good.
No, there's no lecturing going on. It's all in good
All
fun.
right.
No lecturing. I'm just saying. It's fine. Just get the pad and paper.
Chuck's
out.
got crabs. All right.
You
Weird
Oh,
things were
well.
happening. It's all great. We're all good now,
You're
right?
like Jasmine St. Clap over here.
Oh, my Lord.
No.
It's just broken down.
All right, so this weekend I will be appearing at Hardcore Homecoming on Saturday night at the formerly known ECW Arena. Please come and support our cause because this is probably the last show we will ever have.
Thank you, Francine. I appreciate this greatly.
Is it going to be filmed by any chance?
I don't know. I'm thinking yes, but I'm not sure.
It's a cool name, November Rain.
November Rain. Yes, it should be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm involved in a dog collar match with Gary Wolf, and we just went Barry Neck again, so it should be
Wow.
Oh, wow.
not for Gary, but for us. So,
right.
so that's what my agenda is. So,
how's Gary doing lately? I've not heard.
Gary's doing wonderful.
I haven't heard his name in a while, so.
Yeah, we actually worked with him in Pittsburgh, and they did the dog collar match. But I'm sure this will be a lot better than that one because the Philly fans want to see something happen. So we're gonna give it to him.
Chuck's covering his face in agony right now at me. He's so
Chuck,
pissed.
don't put your hands to your face, Chuck. It'll spread. It'll spread.
That's good advice.
Don't touch your face. Go wash your hands.
If we ever went to break, I would maybe consider the idea.
Okay, well, once again, Francine, you want to plug the website. And by the way, Candice Michelle wasn't the only one who had a bit of a cat outfit.
Oh, did you like my kitty outfit?
That was very nice. Yes, I like that.
Thank you. Thank you. It is www.missyhyattandfrancinetv.com. Yes, I did post Halloween pictures, and we have a lot more coming up, so check it out if you would. If you will.
Oh, we got Dusty Rhodes on the phone now.
If you will. Yes.
All right, thanks a lot, Francine, for joining us. Chuck, what are we going to go to next? Are we playing Monty or
Yeah, we're going right into Monty Brown, the alpha male.
Yeah, we're taking a break. We're kind of shot on the air right now.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I'll call you next week.
Thank you,
All right,
Francine.
We'll see you then.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We'll be right back with Monty Brown, the alpha male from Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, straight from the Serengeti. Keep it locked right here on the Blaze 1260 AM. And if you want to make a phone call, call us up at 480-965-1260. Get your voice heard live.
Hey, this is the King of the Mountain, Jeff Jarrett, and founder of Global Force Wrestling. And you're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Welcome back to the Wrestling Epicenter here on the Blaze 1260 AM as we are now being joined by the alpha male, Monty Brown. Monty, how you doing? I'm doing great. The one and only, the only one. Absolutely. It's great to see you guys on Spike TV, and of course tomorrow night, and might as well plug the hell out of this right now because it's less than 24 hours away from when we're on the air. It's the debut of Impact in prime time. That's right, man. Excellent opportunity for us to reach out to some new fans, show the world what Impact's all about, show the world what TNA Wrestling's all about, to welcome the nation, the world, to the Serengeti.
That's great. Hey, I got a question for you. When you first started out in TNA, you were there back in 2000. You took a couple of years off. What was the reason behind your hiatus?
The reason was just basically, I think it was just no one knew what to do with the alpha male. No one knew, what my character was about, who I was about, and at the time it was just a new thing for myself and the company, and I had different things going on. They had different things going on, and then like every great relationship, we're back together. Things are going great. Well, when you came back, you seemed to have the character under lock and key. You seemed to really just flourish with it. Did you kind of craft it a little bit more when you were off TV for those couple of years? Well, actually, I didn't get the opportunity to let the character flourish, and in the beginning, and like I said, no one knew really what the character was about. I mean, I knew who the character was, and I knew who I am because it's from within me, and it is who I am. Times 10, basically times 100. And at the time, I think a lot of guys in the business were trying to be like each other, and we're doing a lot of similar things, and it was kind of, I won't say a vanilla product, but a very similar product, and I almost fell into that too, trying to emulate what other people are doing, but that's not me, that's not who my character is, and I just have to do what I do, man, and it kind of caught on a little bit, I guess, and I was given the opportunity, which I appreciate.
Well, let me ask you this. You're a former football player, as we all know. How does the action in the ring kind of compare to the action on the gridiron?
It's two different animals, really, man, except for me being, that same intense person that I am, and on the field, I'm trying to kill you. In the ring, I'm going to kill you, so if you look at it that way, it's the same. But you know, it's a lot. The environment is a psychotic environment, but a more controlled environment in the ring, and you know, for a lot of entertainment purposes. And football, I almost have to change gears in a way.
It's been a crazy season in the NFL. Any picks for the Super Bowl thus far?
You know what? I tell you who looks good right now, who always looks good to me, man. I gotta say the Patriots. They look good, man. With a guy like Bill Belichick in there, who can, you know, craft anything. He can take a junior high football team or a Pop Warner team and possibly get them to the Super Bowl. Man.
Yeah,
He's that type of coach. So, you know, and I still got some boys there. So I gotta send shouts out to Willie McGinnis, Adam. My boy Teddy Bruschi's back in there, man. God bless him, and just the whole crew there, man. You know.
Yeah, how about him coming back? He played like 99% of that game after being out for 8 months.
That's the type of warrior Teddy is. You know, I've known Teddy for a long time, and he's just that dude. He's just a baller. You know, he's not the biggest guy, he's not the fastest guy, but Teddy is a guy that's going to be around the ball. He's going to find the ball, and some guys just have. He's like the everlasting bunny, man. He just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. So you can never count a guy like that out.
I actually got a question in from our forums. They want to know about Bill Romanowski. Do you think he deserves to be considered for the Hall of Fame?
You know, that whole situation, I think you gotta kind of judge a guy on what he did, you know, and that guy, I mean, for years and years and years, he was a playmaker. He was a baller. Now, in a way, are you going to judge him on the ethics or what? Did that enhance his ability or did that help his play or what have you? You know, I don't know, but I do know that guy made tackles on Sundays and he played hard. So, I mean, that's not for me to judge.
Well, let me ask you this. Obviously, Brock Lesnar tried to go from wrestling to football. You've seen both sides of the fence. Do you think it's harder to go from wrestling to football or to go to football to wrestling?
Really, I think that, again, man, you know, in comparison for myself, going from football to wrestling, you know, and I always considered myself a wrestler in a football player's body from the time I was, you know, a little kid. That's all I watched, you know, and that's all I was into. I mean, I played football because, you know, there wasn't any, at the time, any NWA rings for a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old, you know, so football was my thing. But growing up, I never had, you know, I didn't collect football cards. I collected wrestling posters, and I had PWI centerfolds, you know, centerfolds up, you know, and that's what I was into. So I guess going from football to wrestling for me was just it was kind of a natural progression. But for a guy like Brock Lesnar with all the athletic ability in the world, and for a high school football player, never played college football, to try and go from wrestling to football, that's a tough jump, no matter how athletic you are, because that game is a different game from high school to college and college to pros.
Let me ask you this question. You just mentioned that you were a wrestling fan growing up, but who was some of your, I guess, all-time favorites, or who attracted you to the business?
Oh, you know, I gotta go with guys like at that time, you know, your Nikita Koloff, your Ric Flair. I was the guy that liked all the heels for some reason. I don't know, man. But you know, your Kurt Hennings, your Mid-South Macho Man Randy Savage. You know, I remember I used to see some tapes of Austin Idol and down in World Class with the Freebirds and Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez and just, you know, all that stuff, man. I'm talking wrestling from all over, and I was into all of it, man, and I just couldn't get enough of it.
You mentioned you were always into heels, but recently, or Destination X, you actually turned heel, and many people think that after seeing you in the ring with Jeff Jarrett and on Impact taping, challenging for the world title, that you would be the next babyface. A lot of people likened you to Bill Goldberg. Do you think that your character is best suited as a heel or a face?
I think my character's best suited as a situation. You know, my character is just, you know, he's that loner type guy who just he thrives on competition. You know, exactly. Kind of like the linebacker that I was, the person that I am, you know, and regardless of if I'm in there with the faces, the heels, my game plan is pretty straightforward: destroy and dismantle, be hunted, kill or be killed, survival of the fittest. Now, if you want to put that into a heel situation, you want to put that into a baby situation, whatever. I'm just in there just to destroy whatever's in front of me, and if he happens to be getting cheers at the time or he gets booed at the time, he's still going to get killed.
Well, let me teach yourself to be so good on the mic.
Oh.
Or is it kind of just like a natural ability, you know, you get out there, you kind of feel the flow, you just let it ride?
I do. I just kind of let it ride. You know, I have a lot of things in my mind that I'd like to say, and then kind of get a feel from the crowd. And like I said, it's just that, I believe it's just that innate natural ability to speak. And I don't know, maybe it goes back to some of those public speaking classes in college. I don't know, but I tell you what, again, man, I've been cutting promos since I was 7, 8, you know, in the mirror, saying what I was going to do to Tony Atlas and so on and so forth and blah, 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 you know. So it's just a real natural thing for me.
Were you a big trash talker in the NFL with your verbal abilities? You try and get inside people's heads?
I talk much trash. I tell you what, I was worse in college. I guarantee that I'm the only guy, well, I won't guarantee it, but I pretty much guarantee that I'm the only guy who got a flag at the coin toss. Now,
really?
You go from there.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, because I never, it was funny, in college, I was a captain, but I never spoke at the coin toss. And, you know, most times, you know, you have a defensive captain and an offensive captain, they walk out, and, you know, you have the toss. But I always let our quarterback do the talking, and I would be talking to their quarterback, telling them how I was going to kill him and how I was going to break his legs and how I was going to rip his head off and blah, 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 or whoever their star player was, you know. And the ref was telling, and we never accepted the toss anyway. I could care less. We always want to put our defense on the field first anyway. So I'm like, we don't even need to toss the coin. Take the ball. I want you to have the ball. And we're going back and forth, and I'm running my mouth and almost got kicked out of the game before it got started. That's kind of my mentality. Awesome.
Well, let me ask you this question. We've had everybody from New Jack on to Devon Dudley, and they spoke a lot about how they've encountered racism in the early goings of wrestling. Have you encountered any of that in your early goings of wrestling?
You know, I think, you know, there might be subtle undertones of that everywhere, man, you know, and whatever business. But again, man, here's how I deal with it. And, you know, you might have heard this quote before, but, you know, I put it like this, you know, don't judge me on the color of my skin, judge me on the content of my character. And I guess I'm sure you know who said that first. And that's how I want to be. That's how I want to be judged. That's how I want to be treated. I want you to treat me based on who Monty Brown is, because honestly, like I said before, you know, my character to me is bigger than that. And if we're talking race, I want to represent myself as the best man I can be. You know, don't single me out. Don't limit me to a racial stereotype. Don't limit me to a racial color. Let me be the best person I can be, and let me represent myself that way. Whenever you see me, whenever you see the alpha male is going to be dressed to the nines. The alpha male is going to be well spoken. The alpha male is not going to reduce himself to some of the racial stereotypical gimmickry that we've seen, you know, throughout the history of wrestling. But I just want to be respected as the person that I am, and let me go and be the most I can be.
You know, another question we've gotten from a lot of our listeners is...
No, it's not that. Just going to finish this up here real quick. I got just a couple more questions for you. We appreciate you spending so much time with us.
No problem at all.
Well, the WWE recently debuted a guy that many people consider a carbon copy of yourself in Bobby Lashley. Do you see it?
No, I haven't seen him yet. I haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, I mean, people...
I mean, a lot of fans have been coming up saying, hey, there's a guy that I've gone to this house show or that house show, and this guy's doing the gimmick and so on and so forth, and blah, blah, blah. But no, I haven't had a chance to catch him.
What do you make of Dave Bautista's remarks about TNA recently?
I haven't heard those either. I heard you guys talk about that too, but I didn't hear it. What did he say?
He said that the TNA style of wrestling is pretty much a non-stop car crash.
You know, that's one man's opinion, and he's entitled to it. So, you know, I can't knock a man for how he feels. But if that's how he feels, that's how he feels. But like I said, I really think that TNA wrestling is it's innovative, it's different, and it's exciting. However someone else views it or however someone else feels about it, hey, they're welcome to their opinion. But along with that opinion, I'm sure it's, 10 other people are going to tell you it's the best thing they've ever seen in their life. So each his own.
Just a couple months ago, we had your running mate, Lance Hoyt, on the program, and Lance was telling us how you guys, travel together and you share hotel rooms together. And what was it like stepping in the ring with him at Bound for Glory?
You know what? It was it was kind of funny, to tell you the truth, because his mom was there.
Really?
And I'd never met her before. And we had spoken a little bit, but really that whole time we were down there, I didn't talk to him, he didn't talk to me. And his mom she really wanted to meet me, and we kind of went our own ways. And she saw me and she waved, and we were eating in the same place, and he was sitting on one side of the building, I was sitting on the other, and she kind of waved, and he kind of talked to her, and I looked back at her, and she kind of licked her tongue out at me, so I was like, oh, okay, I see how it's going to be, And in the ring, it was good, Lance, he's a big guy, and he's got a lot of athletic ability, and I think he's really going to do a lot in this business. But a couple times, I'm just beating the piss out of him, and I swear he slapped me, his whole hand wrapped around my head, and I couldn't hear a thing. And I'm just thinking to myself, I thought me and this guy were friends, We went at it. We went at it hard. And I know a couple times I did a couple things to him, and right before I did them, I kind of looked straight ahead, and his mom was sitting there with this look of pure terror on her face, and I kind of chuckled in my mind at the time.
All right, well, here's a pretty basic question, but what does the future hold for the alpha male?
What does the future hold for the alpha male? The future for the alpha male is, I think it's very bright, and I think, I'm one of those guys that has the ability to lead an organization if given the opportunity, and, hopefully my future entails a run-in with Planet Jarrett, the King of the Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully he and we get together and we do some things, and then from there, the alpha male just takes it to a whole nother level. And that's what I'm in this business for, to take it to a new level. And, when I'm in the ring and I ask the crowd, are you not entertained? That's what I'm out there to do, And in the wake of all that, hopefully, the alpha male gains crazy momentum, and this thing just catches fire on spike like I know it can, and the whole Serengeti will be ablaze with the alpha male going crazy.
Do you think that maybe you guys can get that Monday night time slot?
I would love for that to happen, and again, and to all your listeners, hopefully they'll tune in. They'll tune in tomorrow night. They'll see and they'll appreciate how hot our show truly is, because it is. And for anyone who says it's not, again, that's their opinion, but I'm telling you right now, they're dead wrong. That this thing is the baby Microsoft out there, when Bill Gates was just starting, This thing is that eBay, 7, 8, 9 years ago.
Yeah.
With that Google starting off, that new internet engine, So I really do believe that this is something that's just smoldering right now, and it's just waiting to just catch a blaze. And it's as hot as I think it is, as hot as a lot of people think it is, and we have a great fan base. And with the 9 o'clock time slot, we're looking to grow it. And when the time comes, I do believe that we could go on Monday night and do very well for ourselves.
What do you and the TNA faithful, you've been there pretty much since the beginning off and on, and now that you've been pretty much established as one of the TNA just elites in the company, what do you think of all the WWE guys getting released and coming to TNA? Do you think that maybe they're taking some spots?
Taking spots from guys that
that have been there since the beginning. Yeah.
I won't necessarily say that these guys are coming and taking spots, but when you have guys who are established and who can come in, and they're like, no spots are given. I don't think spots are just given. Work's just not given. You have to come in and prove yourself. It's just like, again, you can liken it to football, man. You might have a starter on say one team who's been there for 6, 7, 8 years, and then all of a sudden, through free agency, here comes some other guy, and now there's a fight for that position or what have you. Again, I can liken it to the Serengeti. Hey, it's survival of the fittest. and whoever's going to go out there and perform, and whoever goes out there and gives it all they have, and who has earned their stripes, then I think they deserve their position. Now, if guys are getting positions through, backstage political, meandering or whatever you want to say, that's one thing, man. But guys that come in and from wherever, or guys that come up the rosters through whatever, if they've earned their stripes, then who am I to say, oh, that's not right, or you left WWE, don't come to us.
Right.
Bottom line is, I guess, is the product. That's the bottom line. The product is the bottom line.
2 questions left for you. First, would you ever consider going to the WWE?
I would never count that out. I would never count that out. If the situation were to occur that's what was best for me, best for my livelihood, best for my career, then of course, I mean, you would have to make that move. That's like with any guy. Say a guy's got a 9 to 5, and he's been with one company, and a situation occurs where this move was necessary to better himself or better his life, or it was necessary at that time, then of course you would. I'm not going to count it out, but right now, at this stage in my life, at this stage in my career, and where I am with TNA, and I'm going to do all I can to make this the best company that's out there. And like I said, I truly believe, I'm not just saying that, man. I'm not just saying that TNA is that baby Bill Gates Microsoft, man, because, it sounds good. I truly believe that, man. And
I think the quote that Roddy Piper had, that I think fit the company real well, is it's a rocket ship just waiting to take off.
Oh, it is, man. It's fueled up, and we're just, Houston is just counting down, man, and I think that we're really going to set a flame and let that thing loose come tomorrow night, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, we can't thank you enough for your time. Just one last thing. Can we ask you, would you mind giving us a station ID? Just saying, this is Monty Brown. You're listening to The Blaze 1260 AM. And, of course, you can give it your own twist.
Okay.
The name of the station is The Blaze 1260 AM.
1260 AM. Okay.
Okay. Should I count you down or just go whenever?
Oh, I'll go whenever.
All right.
Hey, listen up. This is the alpha male Monty Brown, and you are listening to The Blaze at 1260 AM. Keep it locked here or get period.
Available now in the archives at interactivewrestlingradio.com. It's our exclusive interview with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
So no, we respect each other in the ring and what we've done, and there's a respect there. And even though if he would say something bad, he kept coming back to that respect thing. People had told me, but there's a respect there. But it's business. Business is business with me and him.
This classic 2005 interview can be heard at WrestlingEpicenter.com and InteractiveWrestlingRadio.com.
Results: Rey Mysterio and Matt Hardy defeated Chris Masters and Gene Snitsky. Jimmy Snuka and Eugene defeated Rob Conway and Tyson Tomko. Mankind, a.k.a.
Mick Foley,
defeated Carlito Caribbean Cool. Tag team titles on the line. Kane and the Big Show defeated Lance Cady and Trevor Murdoch to win the titles. And a street fight. Defista destroyed the Coach. Fulfill your fantasy battle royal. Trish Stratus wins to retain her WWE Women's title in a steel cage match. Ric Flair, Triple H to retain, defeated Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle to retain his WWE title.
Lackluster show, in my opinion. I was not impressed with the way this was booked. I think it's ridiculous that Ric Flair goes over Triple H. I don't think that helps anybody. Why are we pushing a dead horse? I mean, the guy is done.
All right, now can we move on to Impact?
Yes, we can now move on to Impact.
We have a call on the line. Caller, are you with us?
Oh, yeah?
Do you want to give your quick thoughts on Taboo Tuesday, or do you want to talk a little bit of TNA with us?
Let's go to TNA.
Let's go to TNA, right?
This is Chad from Maine, by the way.
Oh, we're getting long-distance calls here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
That's like 4,000 miles away.
Yeah, it's like almost midnight here.
I love it. Everyone likes to stay up late with Chuck D and Jimmy Dub.
Yeah, yeah.
So I got to be honest with you guys. I thought this Impact, I just did like a total faux pas. I thought this Impact was probably the best one I've seen thus far, with very few exceptions. The match started out with Abyss taking on Lance Hoyt, and I always like their big man matches over there in TNA because they got a lot of action. It's not so slow ground and pound.
Yeah, I agree with you. This match was pretty high impact. Abyss went over. I'm not sure I would have done that, but, what can you do?
Well, I think why wouldn't you put over Abyss? He's one of the more recognizable characters that TNA has to offer. Lance Hoyt hasn't really done anything, nor does he have any, a recognizable character at this point in time. You know what I mean?
Don't you think they should rectify that situation?
Well, maybe they should, but it takes time. They've only been on TV now for a little over a month, and things are developing. They got the storyline with the Dudleys.
The guy's big. He can do everything Rob Van Dam can do, and I don't know. I like the look.
Are we talking about the same person?
Yes, we're talking about Lance Hoyt.
He can do the same things Rob Van Dam can do.
He's done a Van Terminator. Do you know what a Van Terminator is?
I'm aware of what a Van Terminator is. He's 7 foot tall. I hope he could go from ring to ring.
Yeah, he can. Rope to rope.
Rope to rope. Whatever. But, I mean, this guy's not going to do any split-legged moonsaults or anything. Let's be honest.
He could do a moonsault. I don't know about split-legged.
A good-looking moonsault at that.
Yeah, he does, but, I mean, that's like comparing apples and oranges, in my opinion. It's not even a comparison.
The guy kind of seems to be almost a jobber to the stars. He's jobbing to Abyss, he jobs to Monty. He's getting put in big profiles, but he's just not, almost like Carlito to a lesser extent.
Exactly. He's like the face version of Carlito for TNA.
I'll tell you what, though. Everybody in TNA should job to Monty Brown.
Everybody in TNA should job to Monty Brown. That guy gave us a great interview. He's actually a really down-to-earth guy, and I'll tell you what, he's over as hell. And the guy, he reminds me of everything good about Hulk Hogan, everything good about Goldberg, and he's got a little unique flair of his own. He's just that damn good.
Now, what do you guys think about when Sabu came out and he had his whole arm just wrapped in the barbed wire trying to threaten Abyss?
That's pretty sick.
It's phenomenal, right? This is what I like about Sabu. It's not that he necessarily does these huge spots, which I do enjoy. It's that, it's just when he comes out, you kind of feel this little energy, kind of surge through the crowd, and when he comes out, something crazy is going to happen, right? And so then, boom, dude's out there, his arms all bleeding, wrapped in barbed wire. You got this little, crazy music in the background. You got the good announcer. Oh, my God, it's all crazy. I love it. And plus, this is like a monster. Two people that are just insane. Abyss is not above throwing himself through some light bulbs and some tacks. And Sabu, he lives for that crap, man.
I agree with you, but I think that you're walking a fine line when you start throwing yourself through those light tubes. I've heard those things can give you cancer.
I heard standing on a power line can give you cancer, too. So what?
Well, when was the last time you saw a wrestler stand on the power line? I
stand on the power lines every day just to see what'll happen.
Wow.
I love it.
And then all of a sudden you start making big arm gestures and nobody knows what the hell you're doing.
Well, hey, it's not my fault you don't understand the whole concept of wrapping things up. You know what I mean? Trying to get us to move on like I am right now.
Let me ask you this question.
2, Christopher Daniels versus Jarrell Clark.
Why don't you point at the clock if you want to wrap things up?
So, another phenomenal match by Christopher Daniels. This guy continues to impress me week in and week out. I got to say they got to get this X Division strap off AJ Styles, kind of push him toward the heavyweight division, and let Christopher Daniels take this X Division belt and run with it.
I think AJ should be in the heavyweight. I'm not sure Daniels felt that, though. I am, don't make me wrong, a huge fan of Daniels, but I think we need something fresh.
Yeah, we might need something new from this
Let me ask you this question.
Bentley.
Who would you put the X Division strap on?
Bentley.
Bentley.
The guy's over with that crowd.
I like his look. I like the way he works in the ring. I don't know about the name. That's the only.
The name is awful.
That definitely is a detriment. What I thought was, here he is. He's playing himself up as Shawn Michaels' nephew, right? How about reverse the names if they wanted to change it? Shane Michael or Shane Michaels. How about that? Really confuse the people.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot better than Matt Bentley. Chuck's just staring at me. What's the matter?
I'm just looking, son. I'm letting you guys talk it out. See what the deal is.
You're throwing me off today. You're a little creepy, dude.
Hey, dude, I don't have to speak on everything. I don't really have an opinion about Matt Bentley. The guy doesn't really impress me or unimpress me.
I agree with you. Let me say this about TNA. They're putting microphones under the ring, which for some reason WCW never understood the concept, and WWE always has, and that's why everything in WWE sounds devastating, and WCW kind of didn't get that. So I like the fact that TNA's figured out, hey, we can make a move sound really good if you hear a big crashing sound when they hit the mat.
It's a good idea. Yeah, I like it.
Absolutely. I don't know what you're doing now, dude.
Oh, my Lord, this kid's killing me. Hey, man, we appreciate you calling, and we got to take another call at this point in time. So listen to us next week and try and get yourself back on the air, my man.
We apologize that we had to run right through. I will get the signals. I'm right. I'm learning here, guys. I'm learning. But up next, what was up next on Impact, Mr. D?
Well, we saw Shane Douglas backstage with Raven, trying to get answers to him as if he was absolutely livid for being robbed at the NW World Heavyweight Championship.
He's got a girlfriend. I wonder if that girlfriend could be our little co-host over here.
No, I don't believe that to be the case. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, our phone lines are open. Numbers 480-965-1260. I don't think Francine's going to come back in any capacity to be with Raven. I don't foresee that. I think we would have heard something about this somewhere along the line.
I think she probably would have leaked it to us. However, I wouldn't put it past her because I know that she's a big fan of kayfabe. I think it's great. I think maybe this will be a way to bring in somebody like Miss Jackie or Molly Holly, of all people. That would be a hell of a mix, wouldn't it?
See, now that's where you're thinking in the right direction here. I'm almost positive Miss Jackie's going to come out wearing a little leather jacket, be kind of slutty, and it's going to be good. Hey, Michael, you on the line with us, my man?
Yes, sir.
Hey, what do you think about this? Who is Raven's girlfriend going to be?
I have absolutely no idea, but the only thing I just really hope he, because it's just really bugs crap. But they do this a lot, like in the WWE and TNA, when you steal the title from somebody and you never get the rematch.
Right. Right.
Even though Jeff Jarrett lost the title already, I just really want, Raven, at least just have a match with him because it's just uncomfortable, not finishing what you started.
Well, that's a very valid point. The longer they wait, people are slowly going to kind of forget that ever happened. The wrestling community in general has kind of a short attention span, so they need to hurry up and capitalize on the fact that Raven was the NWA champion and get him back in that ring because we haven't really seen much of him on TV since he lost that title, and I think people are going to forget sooner rather than later.
Here's what also kind of ticks me off, even though it's Jeff Jarrett, he's the owner of the company. When it's about his character. When Raven was the champion, Jeff Jarrett did nothing but complain and whine, and unfortunately, the general manager, whatever he is,
Larry Zbyszko?
Yeah, he just lets him go and whine and complain. And when Raven finally does it after he loses the title, he gets never gets a rematch, and he gets sent out by security.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think what's going to happen is I unfortunately, as happy as I am to see Rhino with the title, because I think he's somewhat deserving. And I think he can carry that spot. I think it's going to be a short-lived title run for him, and I think Jeff Jarrett's going to get back, and I think we're going to see him and Raven. I think he'll beat Raven, and then we're going to finally see Monty Brown or AJ Styles challenge in kind of a high-profile feud that takes some time.
Absolutely.
I think they're going to start turning Monty face pretty soon here. I think that's pretty clear if you're watching the shows. I also think that Raven is not going to quite get that push. I think that a Raven on TV, on Spike TV, is going to be kind of held down a little bit, maybe put towards the upper mid-card. He'll be like the Jericho was this year in WWE. He'll have a chance towards the main event, but they'll never, ever give him that belt.
Yeah.
Well, while you're on the phone with us, Mike, I want to ask you about this.
Yes, sir.
What is your thought on this Roderick Strong guy? We watched him. I'd never heard of this guy before. It was the first opportunity I had to see him work. This guy, what did they call him?
The Messiah of the backbreaker.
Yeah, this dude does some sick backbreakers.
The Messiah of...
Yeah, his name was Roderick Strong. He was in that tag team match. He was with Alex Shelley. They were taking on AJ Styles and Sanjay Dutt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Okay, I'm not... Okay, I did not see that match.
Oh, dude, you missed it. This guy is like the sickest.
He'd throw a guy up to do a back body drop, and he'd catch him on his shoulder and do a backbreaker with him. Yeah. It was sick looking.
He did a backbreaker 10 different ways from Tuesday.
He did a sit-down powerbomb into a backbreaker. I don't know how the hell it happened. I tried to figure out later. How did that work?
These guys legitimately flexed backwards, they snapped their spine and would kind of recoil and just lay there. And I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, he ain't getting up.
I think what they need to do with this guy is, unfortunately, he's got that AJ Styles generic look, and AJ made it work because he was the first one to have it, but then you had people like P.D. Williams coming in and looking exactly the same, and then now you got this guy. What they need to do is just give him a better look, and I think you can see something from this kid in the X Division.
Do you know this newcomer named Austin Aries?
Yes, yeah. I do. He's a former Ring of Honor champion.
Yeah, he made his debut on Sacrifice, I think.
Yeah.
I think he might very soon be. This is a one of 100 shot. But I do believe he will soon become the X Division champion because he is ever since I saw that match with him and that other dude from Unbreakable.
Right.
I thought that was a spectacular match, and I think Austin Aries has a lot to to offer.
Austin Aries is a great worker. I'm not sure how it'll translate to TV. And don't forget when he was doing those shows, he was not on television. So let's see what happens when he gets on Spike TV and how the crowd reacts to him. And if they react well, I think you might be right. You might be onto something there.
Hey, Mike, man, we appreciate your call. We're going to move on to some other callers. Keep it locked, man, so we can get you on another time, all right?
Yes, thank you very much.
Hey, our pleasure, man.
We haven't taken callers at quite some time here on the Blaze 1260 AM and the Wrestling Epicenter. If you want to get your voice heard, please call in. The number is 480-965-1260. We only got a few minutes, so make sure you call right now.
Yo, you know who I'm really impressed with over there at TNA is this Scott D'Amore. I was really unfamiliar with this guy before TNA started, and his whole Team Canada stable, it's hugely successful. Petey Williams is like a phenomenal worker. Scott D'Amore, just the way he yells on that mic, kind of reminds me of, Paul Heyman, if you will.
I agree with you. However, I'm going to disagree with you on Petey Williams. I think Petey Williams is overrated. I think for those who ordered Bound for Glory last week, we were exposed to seeing Petey Williams not being that special. And what do I mean by that? He actually, as the heel, wins the match and looks pissed off. If you're the heel, regardless if it was a miss-up or not, if you win a match, you act like you just won the Super Bowl. You don't act pissed.
Well, that's a fair point. But I just want to kind of throw that in there because that's one thing that always sticks out to me lately when I'm watching TNA. It's about this whole Team Canada. But we next then saw a little package, and I think this was well done. And it kind of made the belt seem that much more important. And this is something that I thought TNA had kind of missed the boat on. They did a little video package showing the former champions. They acknowledged the Steamboat, the American Dream, Harley Race.
Very well done.
A lot of people out there, are not really sure, where this TNA, the history lies, the roots of this company. And I thought that was well done. I just want to touch on that briefly as well. But
hearing the name George Hackenschmidt on television was kind of shocking.
Moving along, I want to talk about this NWA World Tag Team Champions, America's Most Wanted, with Gail Kim taking on the 3 live crews, BG James and Ron the Truth Killing, along with Conan. And I'll tell you what, not only because we interviewed the guy, but I've kind of found him pretty entertaining, and I'm referring to Conan, of course, over the last few weeks, is his heat with Kip James kind of grows, a.k.a. Mr. Ass. And I definitely see somewhere along the line where this could actually be a good little feud. Obviously, the work rate wouldn't be phenomenal, but these guys are both good talkers, and they both could do their thing. I think it'd be very entertaining.
Billy Gunn or Kip James, whatever you want to call him, is a great worker. I don't know why he's got the reputation of not being that great. He's a good worker. Conan has kind of dropped off a bit because he's been inactive for such a long time.
Well, the reason
I think that they have good matches.
The reason I say it's not going to have phenomenal work rate is because, if you recall, when we spoke to Conan, he was the first one to tell you, I'm not really going to work anymore. So it'd have to be a short program that would not feature, he's not going to take any sick bumps. He's not going to be able to do any phenomenal
I will
maneuvers.
say this, though. Speaking of sick bumps, Ron the Truth Killings took a backdrop over the top rope, and it looked like he got scrunched up like an accordion on the ring apron.
I love Ron Killings. Hey, we got another caller on the line. It's Mr. Brian calling us from Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Chilling, dude. Talking a little bit of TNA. You got to give us your thoughts, man, on this 3 live crew thing. Where do you think they need to go with this? Do you think it needs to happen kind of soon?
Yeah.
I don't think TNA knows.
That's a good point. They may not know.
TNA really needs to get their act together and start to get some direction on pretty much everything.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but I think TNA is doing fine. I thought Impact was really good. I don't think you can blame Bound for Glory on TNA. I think that it was a cluster that happened because of health problems to Kevin Nash. However, I will agree
I
with
told you so.
Yeah, you did tell me so. You got me there.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
But I think TNA's done some right things. They're moving in the right direction. Everyone's so quick to judge. I'll tell you what. For my money, I'd rather sit there for an hour and watch Impact than watch Monday Night Raw.
Oh, totally.
I mean, that's just the bottom line. And yes, the storylines are taking a little more time than people maybe at first thought to develop. But like now, like we're saying, this is going to end up to be a big money feud between Team 3D and AMW.
Right.
They're building it up well. It's taking its time. And you got to also keep in mind, there's not a whole lot TNA can do with storylines. They have a huge roster they need to introduce. They only have an hour.
They only have an hour long. Yeah, you're
no, they don't only have an hour tomorrow night, and I want to remind everybody before we go off the air, make sure to tune in Spike TV tomorrow night at 9, Impact 2-hour special. This is the first 2-hour special. They're getting another one on December 8th.
Free
2 hours.
pay-per-view, people.
Yes.
Yeah, it's what it's like.
Free pay-per-view, and then another one on December 8th, but make sure you tune in tomorrow night. And I've also heard that not only is TNA getting offered a Monday night spot, perhaps as early as the new year, but they're also going to be a part of a New Year's Eve special on Spike TV.
That'd be phenomenal. We got a couple minutes here because Teal's going to be an awesome guy and let us go like 3 minutes over, as he always does. We appreciate him for that. But another thing TNA did that I kind of picked up on, I don't know if it's just me being nitpicky, but and this is a good thing, actually, I don't want to make it sound like it's negative, was the Morphoplex move of the night. This is something, again, it's a little thing that they threw into the program. It only took about 30 to 45 seconds to show a Styles Clash by AJ Styles and Roderick Strong, but it's another one of these things that makes it seem a little bit more important. You know, it's worth recapping this move. It was so devastating, and I like that. I think little production tricks like that can add a lot to a wrestling show.
I agree.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of like an ad for isn't Morphoplex some kind of dietary supplement?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's no different than like the Stagger 2 boot of the night.
Right.
Yeah, WWE does. You know, I mean, yes, it's an advertisement, but it still puts over the people in this match. You see the Styles Clash.
Yeah, it's this good combination.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's great to see the TNA is getting ads.
That's another good point.
They're able to, you know, I don't care if they, you know, beat WWE in the ratings or not or anything like that. As long as they can be good enough to where they can stay on TV and make a profit and entertain the people, that's all that matters to me.
We got good ratings news from TNA as well. They got a 0.9 rating on Saturday night, and they got a 0.6 rating on the replay on Monday night.
Yeah, it's gone up a little bit on the replay.
Yeah, it has.
Wow.
It's good news for those guys.
Well, I think I'm not going to put a whole lot of stock in it, but I think some of that has probably to do with UFC running its season finale this past week.
I don't think UFC brings in as big of a crowd as you act like it does.
Yeah,
I act like it does. I'm saying I think it brought in a couple extra because of its finale. I never once said that I thought UFC was a huge draw leading into TNA.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, some people that are in there watching the fights might just see, hey, here's wrestling. I'll keep that on and watch more.
I've never been a huge proponent of saying that UFC should lead into any sort of wrestling. I've actually never even commented on it, period.
Right.
I don't think
it hurts or anything.
No, I just think that this week... I just think that this week was a little special example as to what, you know, a season finale can do. That was just my thoughts. But
you might be right on that.
I want to move along to our final segment here, which was obviously the Dudleys coming out and cutting a pretty passionate promo. It almost seemed like they've been a little bit rejuvenated since coming back. And, you know, one thing I noticed, too, kind of being this little nitpicky detail kind of guy, I see Devon, right? And you can tell this dude's been in Japan for a while because his forehead is like one big blade job. There's like little razor cuts all over his head, man. I'm like, this dude's been putting in some work, which is good to see because it tells me they're willing to go the extra mile at this point in their time. You know, they're older, they're veterans. It's always good to see a veteran willing to just go that extra mile.
They're not that old, first of all, let me say that. And All Japan Wrestling actually just invited these guys to come in and be full-time parts of the roster in 2006. So they got a decision to make. Are they going to be with TNA in America? Or are they going to go ahead and be in Japan instead?
Well,
I think they'll be in TNA.
I think a lot of it's going to depend on what direction TNA decides to go with their tag team division, to be honest with you. If TNA sticks with 1 hour, and, you know, really right now you're talking about 3D, America's Most Wanted, and there's maybe one or two other tag teams that they could feud with, which really doesn't give them a lot of long-term
Well, especially since Chase Stevens broke his neck.
Well, he's actually only going to be out for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That looked pretty sick.
He was very sick, but he's only going to be out 6 weeks.
Well, then that guy is... I don't even want to fight him.
But, you know, I think that's... If TNA can say to the Dudley Boys, listen, we're going to give you some tag teams to feud with. You know, we've been in talks with Spike TV. We're going to continue to progress along, get maybe more time, or be on a different night. They'll stay. Otherwise, I really don't see a reason for them to stay.
No, I think they're going to say whatever they need to say to keep them there, and I think they're going to do the same thing with Christian, because I think probably by Genesis or the next pay-per-view after that, we're going to see Christian in TNA.
Well, he's probably going to be under a 90-day no-compete clause.
No, there is no 90-day no-compete clause because his contract's expired.
Oh, no kidding.
No, he can.
His contract actually expired.
Anytime he wants.
His contract actually expired, and he was working on a night-to-night basis with the WWE, and he didn't re-sign the contract, and that's one of the things that led to him quitting, was they tried to force him to sign the contract before he went out on TV.
Yo, when was TNA taped for this special tomorrow? It's already been taped, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it won't be that one, but
TNA needs to go live.
Yeah, they do.
How phenomenal would that be to be watching that tomorrow and just think that Christian maybe could walk through that curtain?
Oh, I love it, but I would have even loved it more if it wasn't for the internet. Like Monday Nitro, the first Nitro, Lex Luger walked straight off WWE TV onto WCW, and nobody, and I mean nobody, knew it was going to happen.
Hey, Brian, man, we got to get off this radio waves. We got another dude waiting to come on here, Mr.
Nobody also knew that he was going to go ahead and kill Elizabeth a couple years later.
So, Brian, we'd like to thank you for calling in as always.
Thanks for letting me on, guys.
All right, man.
Yeah, that was Brian Lequette, also known as Imagine Raditz from the forums. Wanting everybody to check us out at www.wrestlingepicenter.com. You can also check out the entire Monty Brown interview coming up later this evening up on the website. And I think we have something else to promote, but I can't for the life of me think of it. Oh, TNA tomorrow night.
Yeah, TNA tomorrow night. It's going to be a 2-hour special.
9 o'clock, Spike TV, 2-hour special. You got to check it out. Free pay-per-view.
I also want to give this quick, kind of parting shot. Everyone's always looking for a Monday Night War here, on the wrestling fan base, if you will, the wrestling television shows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised no one's ever really thought and put some stock into maybe throwing TNA up on a Thursday night. A Thursday night time slot for TNA would not be that bad. There's not a whole lot of other competition out there. SmackDown had a pretty good, 8-year run on Thursday nights?
6.
It's just something to think about. Maybe people ought to stop hoping for Monday Night War and let TNA flourish in its own night, make it its own, and embrace that.
I think they should let TNA grow and be ready to take on that war. Right now, like I said a couple months ago, TNA against WWE in a war would be like the United States of America up against Guam.
Yeah. Well, guys, we are out of time, unfortunately. We appreciate you tuning in here to the Wrestling Epicenter. As my man James Walsh said, Monty Brown's going to be up on the site, WrestlingEpicenter.com, later on this evening, as well as our show. So make sure you head on over there. And, hey, man, we'll see you here next Wednesday on the Wrestling Epicenter, here on the Blaze, 1260 AM.
KASC, Tempe, Arizona. The Blaze, 1260 AM.